think.
Allegedly, football was played.
Yeah,
Well,
at least one team half played it.
yeah, two of the 6 units played football.
Yes.
The other 4 questionable.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is a WFNY BrownsCast recapping the Browns beating the Texans 27-14 in the return of Deshaun Watson. It was a weird game. But before we get to that, get to breaking this down, this is another Evergreen podcast, part of the Evergreen Podcast Network, and we're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. For first-time depositors, enter in the code WFY at checkout, and they'll match up the deposit up to $100. Underdog is a great platform if you're tired of the DFS salary system. Tons of different game types and drafts every night for every different sport. Don't forget to use WFNY at checkout to get your first deposit matched up to $100 by Underdog. And that's Underdog Fantasy. So, yeah, the return of Deshaun Watson. Let's start from there. Not so good.
Nah, I mean, he looked like someone that hadn't played football in 700 days.
Yep. He looked like a guy who didn't play for 23 months. He was, let's see, his final stats were 12 of 22 for 131 yards and an interception. He also ran for 21 yards. So yeah, it was ugly. But
there was some nice moments buried in the file of crap, but other than that,
right,
it was rough to say the least.
Yes.
So
yeah. So first of all, it was just he just didn't. It wasn't accurate today, which is something I think we can kind of pinpoint as kind of the main factors of his kind of struggles. He just seemed to everything was low. It seemed like.
Yeah, he was throwing everything way too hard and way too I'm no mechanical expert, but when things are coming out hard and low like that, it seems like you're rushing through your progression. You're rushing through your throwing motion to get it out, and that's something that's fixable as we go. But
yeah, definitely. He also seemed like a guy that was rushing through every single thing he was doing.
Yeah.
I think some of that was because of the just awful blocking by the offensive line today in pass protection.
Yeah, it was not great. I mean, there was good reps and there was not so good reps.
Yeah.
But they didn't have a very good day, and the longer you keep running your fifth center out there, the more it's going to hurt.
Exactly. So. I was more, that was something I foresee, but like the tackle play, it's not working. It's bad right now. Wills had a horrible game, I thought, and I think Conklin is just injured. I don't know if he has anything left. It seems like
he's
struggling out there. It just seems not healthy.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's just that was a bad combination. I think we should have probably foresaw this early on last week. But that was a bad combination of a quarterback who hasn't played in a regular season game in 23 months, and the offensive line that's injured, struggling a little bit. It was just a kind of recipe for a little bit of disaster. But luckily,
no real tight end to rely on.
Right. That's definitely another key. Deshaun probably would have loved to have David Njoku out there. It definitely seemed like he didn't have a lot of options either. Because David Bell went out pretty early.
A lot of Demetric Felton today. We haven't seen him a lot this season.
Right. Yeah. A lot of Demetric, a lot of Anthony Schwartz, which I would guessing that if David Njoku and then David Bell were healthy, I don't think either of those two would have been on the field as much.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just kind of the offense just seemed like everything kind of fell apart because of injuries, and then obviously Watson just kind of
Not being good.
right, just trying to knock the rust off. He would, as you said, he did have some nice throws. He did make some plays that kind of showed you like, oh, okay,
These are the things he could do. We
these
saw
are
a lot of
right.
we saw a lot of different plays we haven't seen so far,
Mm-hmm.
but partially because the offense was so bad, and partially because the defense and special teams scored 21 points. They didn't. They did exactly what we were hoping on Thursday, and it didn't feel like they showed off a whole lot of new stuff. Like they showed some, but they
I
didn't
would
do a
agree.
whole lot. They spent most of the fourth quarter just handing off to whatever
Right.
running back was in the backfield.
Yeah, that was interesting. We didn't see a lot of play action. Like kind of going through my head, I don't remember a lot of play action rollouts or anything like that.
No, I mean we saw some RPO stuff. We
Yeah,
saw
we did see
some read
that.
option stuff.
But those are some of the things that obviously I think any team was going to prepare for. But I think I definitely think Stefanski seemed very conservative.
Yeah, I think once he saw what the Texans had
True,
on offense,
true.
like
And then I think what he had in his quarterback too. I think he was a little shy on kind of putting them
yeah,
into too much stress.
yeah, he made one real downfield throw and it got picked off because he didn't read the robber
Yeah.
underneath.
Also, didn't help that a guy was coming right into his face.
Yeah, yeah, that doesn't help. That never helps.
Never helps.
But yeah, I mean that's the center. But they, you know, the the joke on Twitter was how much is Deshaun Watson going to improve the defense?
I know, right? I guess they're going to become Pro Bowl units. Both of them are just going to be elite
Tony
units
Fields,
in the
all
league.
pro.
Yeah. So let's just kind of finish off Watson here. As we were saying, he was rusty. His mechanics seemed a little off. Everything was low. A lot of it was low. He just seemed rushed. But obviously, that was something that we should have foreseen because he hadn't played in 23 months, as we keep saying.
Yeah.
It's not something to worry about right now. Obviously, it's kind of worrying for next week because you need him to be
not
100 times better than what that was.
Yeah, you need him to be a lot better
because you're playing the Cincinnati Bengals, which are not going to allow you to score 21 points on defense and special teams. You would think.
Apparently, one of the questions that Kevin Stefanski was asked in the press conference was if he was committed to Deshaun Watson as the starter.
Oh God. I think his contract.
I don't even have words for that question.
Oh my God. Yes. I think they're good with him as starter. Oh my God. He could probably do that performance about 4 more times this year, and he's still not going to get benched. Yeah. So yeah. Welcome to Browns. Browns interview questions are always elite.
Yep, the best of the best.
Yes. Yeah. So before we kind of get up to the good parts of this game, anything else that kind of popped out to you in terms of Deshaun Watson? I did think the run game improved a little bit because of the threat. I
think there. I mean, it's hard to tell.
Mm-hmm.
The Texans are just so bad.
True. I know this is like it's hard to evaluate what we're watching here.
Yeah, like, do I expect the offense to go out or the defense to go out and score 14 points again ever? No. No, you can't expect the defense to score 14 points in a game.
Right.
Like, it's just
I
not
can't even expect them to get one more turnover. Like having 4 turnovers was just shocking.
They made a like shot their wad for the rest of the season.
I know, right? Yeah. But yeah, I thought the run game was better. I thought maybe the threat of Watson. He did have some open lanes on the keeper on the RPOs and kind of different play call. I can't think of the word right now. But
different option types.
Yeah, option. Yes. Yeah, I thought that was better. Nick Chubb played well overall, at least.
Yeah.
But it was just the pass game had nothing. It was just basically nothing. It was pretty bad. But
few good plays here and there. Nothing.
Right.
Nothing real spectacular.
Yeah. So something to monitor as we go on. But let's get to the kind of happy parts here. Let's go with special teams first. I thought this was another second straight week of really strong return play. Obviously, Donovan Peoples-Jones had a touchdown return coming off of last week where he played really well. It just seems like they finally have their two returners.
Yeah, I mean, Jerome Ford had a rough day returning kicks.
Yeah.
But like
his first one. Yeah. Really, it's his first game.
But the most egregiously bad play was probably the safety kick. But I don't think anyone on that field would have guessed that Bojorquez was going to uncork like an 80-yard kick.
he outkicked the coverage. Yeah. He literally outkicked the coverage.
So, like, that was the worst that you're probably going to get out of the special teams today. Cade York looked good.
Bjork Borquez was really good.
Borquez was really good today. Cade York was good today. None of his kicks even trailed. Like they all pretty much went where they wanted them.
Except that one kickoff. I don't know what the heck
happened. I don't know what happened on that one. But it definitely was. It was funny. We were talking about it in the Discord about how you could be upset that they weren't scoring touchdowns at the end to blow the game like super wide open and maybe hit the over for those people who are interested in that, like we are. but like the counterpoint to that is like, hey, Cade York got a couple kicks in there to kind of kick his way out of what the funk he's been in.
Good point. Yep.
Yeah. Like this ended up being a get right game for everyone but the offense.
Yeah, 2/3 of the actually it was the get right game for the parts of the team that needed to get right.
Yeah. Right. And the offense took a day off.
Yes, the offense was like, hey, you take it from here, guys.
You guys go score.
But the special teams is really good. It's just amazing how much improved Donovan Peoples-Jones has been as a returner.
Yeah.
He just continues to each return. He looks safe to catch it, which is nice. That was at certain points of last year. That was a thing of struggle.
There's been good things done on punt returns to keep him clear to make catches.
Right. Yeah. He hasn't really had a lot of traffic around him.
I noticed that they've been kind of like overloading the box in a sense in the last couple weeks to make sure that he's like that they're occupying all those blockers on the inside so that there's more time for him downfield. And I'm not anywhere near a special teams guy, but they've created a lot of space for him. Right. So today he made the most of it. I think he made 3 guys miss on that punt return, and that's.
Yeah, that was one of the more impressive ones. He had 3 times that he could have been tackled, and he stayed upright. It was very good.
Yeah, it was a good punt return.
Yeah, Bjorquez was great. He was accurate in the red zone, which has not been the case in the last few games. And then he obviously had just some rocket kicks, which we have seen all year, but mostly the kind of the situational kind of kick into the red zone and not get a touchback has been his struggles, and he did really well this game. So yeah, that was a good sign. Coverage team pretty much
Other
was good, other than
other
the
than the
outkick.
safety.
Yeah, other
Yeah.
than the outkicked one, they were good. Yeah, they were pretty flawless for the most part.
Yeah.
It was good to see our guy kicking field goals and making them. It's always good to get right into a dome situation.
Yeah.
Just seems there's not a lot of stuff to kind of get you off right. So that was good to see. But yeah, overall the special teams was this their best game of the year? Do you think? I would assume so. I would.
Well, they scored a touchdown. They forced a
Yes,
fumble.
true. I'm going to say yes. Yeah, I forgot about that. Even a fumble recovery too. Yeah. Yeah, so they're definitely their best game of the season, and then the Browns defense probably their best game of the season. Thankfully, they're playing Kyle Allen.
Yeah, I
And,
mean, it was set up for them to have a good game. It didn't. There were times early where it looked kind of iffy.
yeah, there's that one
Um,
drive. That one drive was
yeah, but
couldn't
I'm just gonna
tackle.
look. I'm gonna look at their drives real quick. I mean, they had the 12-play, 73-yard drive in the
Yeah,
second quarter that was a turnover on downs. They had a field goal drive in the second half. Other than that, whole lot of nothing.
yeah. The worst drive of the game was probably that one, the turnover on downs. But thankfully, the Texans decided to stop running it inside the 10-yard line because they couldn't tackle them for any sort of. They couldn't tackle at all on that drive. But
Yeah,
it was it just kind of shows you the kind of recipe of success for the defense is the offense kind of keeps them ahead and then it forces them to kind of pass and this team is much better against the pass obviously now and then the run game, so maybe that might be a recipe for success the rest of the way. Obviously they're not playing Kyle Allen every week,
yeah,
but it's something that kind of look towards going forward.
yeah.
um, yeah Tony Fields. Let's talk about Tony Fields. That was we might have lost Taki Taki for I don't know how long. He got carried off. We'll see if he can return. Did they say what it was? Was it concussion or?
I haven't seen anything
I
on
haven't
him.
seen it, but anytime they're getting carried off or need help getting off the field, that's not a great sign. So that'll be another linebacker loss, and it seems like Deion Jones is not kind of stuck in the lineup. Looks like Tony Fields might have passed him. So it just kind of shows you where we're at in the linebacking core.
Yeah,
JOK had a good game again, but I thought that this was one of the better secondary games of the year.
yeah. Newsome was all over the field.
Yeah.
He had some good sure tackles in the
Mm-hmm.
secondary. Overall, he probably was the guy that stood out the most.
Yeah.
Emerson was having a pretty good. Emerson had another good game. He was the one that got
Mm-hmm.
beat for the touchdown late.
Yeah. Denzel, they barely throw at him anymore.
Yeah, no, it feels like no one even goes his direction anymore.
Yeah,
He did have another one of his patented screen breakups.
he did. Even though I think that might have been a penalty. I don't think you're allowed to dive at blocks anymore, but I don't know. Well, I don't know. Well, so I'm gonna let it go. But I think I thought they it's a penalty now that you can't like dive for tackles while they're in like blocking sets. But I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. It was still a great
Maybe
play.
it's when he's engaged with someone else. That's
Maybe
usually the
okay.
penalty there. But
Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah, it was. Miles Garrett was Miles Garrett.
yeah,
I thought Jadeveon did really well as a run defender,
yeah.
and a pass.
Um,
Pass rusher.
the defensive tackles had a day to forget again. They were off the ball a lot.
Yeah,
They got
I did see a couple plays from the rookie. God, I can't think of his name right now.
Winfrey.
Yes, Winfrey. But yeah, and then I also saw a couple plays where he was on the ground about 5 feet behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah,
So he seems like he's kind of a boomer bust kind of guy.
yeah,
He'll make a play and then just get absolutely destroyed on the next 5. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's just it's a weird game to kind of diagnose. Like
The whole game was bad.
right, and it's like I don't know how much I could take from it. I don't think I could take anything from it, really.
No,
Like,
I mean the Browns were able to get a whole bunch of defensive and special team scores. Tony Fields caused both of those touchdowns on defense. He forced the fumble. He he recovered the fumble on special teams. He forced the fumble on the goal near the goal line, and he returned the tipped interception for a touchdown. So he was somehow involved in all of that.
yeah.
And yet the play that stands out from me the most is when he got run over.
Oh yeah, he did. Dude, Dameon Pierce was running angry for much of the game. He was plowing over guys. Luckily, the Texans forgot about him and just he kind of didn't get much stuff after the second quarter. It seemed like,
Yeah,
and it wasn't like they were down big like that much until like late in the third quarter. It was
no, it was a one possession game until pretty late.
Yeah, it's nice to play against a tanking team. I wrote on Twitter, it's like, this is weird playing against the 2017 Browns right now. It's weird being in the other position.
Yeah, I mean, now we know what it was like.
Right. Instant W. Step on the field, you get an instant W.
Watching another team play themselves harder than you had to play them.
Yes. Yeah.
And for a while there, it did look like the Browns were doing the one thing we said they couldn't do, which was beat themselves.
Yeah, they tried every bit. That first quarter and a half, they tried every single thing to try to get this game to be competitive, and the Texans just would not have it. We're not going to do anything.
No, you take it.
You take it.
No, you take it. No, seriously, you take it.
It was pretty funny. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say, man. It's a weird game.
Yeah, I mean, there was good individual performances. I thought, aside from Greedy Williams not wanting to get his hands dirty at the end,
yeah,
the tackling was good. The run stopping was
tackling for the most part was good.
The run stopping
drives. Couple drives they couldn't tackle.
Yeah, after the first little bit, they were able to stop the run fairly consistently.
Yeah.
Part of that was maybe the Texans giving up on it, and part of that was them realizing that Kyle Allen wasn't going to beat them.
Right. I think that was. I'll give Joe Woods credit on that. I think he kind of realized, okay, we're playing Kyle Allen. Let's load the box.
This guy is really bad.
But he made some throws today that were like, we've seen some horrible quarterback play, and those throws, like,
he was missing
like
high
5 feet over the guy
by about 8 feet. Yeah, like right. It was rough.
The best was on that 2-point conversion, and he just threw it out of bounds. Like, dude, if he gets sacked, he gets sacked. Like, make a play for your team, man.
Yeah, but, I don't know. I mean, there's not a ton to take away. I mean, Nick Chubb didn't have a spectacular day. He had some good runs. His average was definitely cut down at the end because,
they were running.
They were running into 10-man boxes.
That was very kind of eye-opening, and at least to me, that they kind of shut it down with 8 minutes to go. They didn't want to test Watson or anything like that.
I think
they basically we're going to shut it down here.
Yeah, I mean, his confidence at that point was probably. I mean, I don't think today would have hurt his confidence all that much.
Right.
But there's no reason to go out there and hurt it anymore. There's no reason to get anyone hurt. I mean, the fact that they had Nick Chubb out there taking those reps was a little weird.
True. Yeah. Yeah, it was. There's like a little. It was just a weird game that didn't seem like a NFL game. It just seemed like I don't know, like a bunch of teams that one team that didn't know what the heck football was, and the other team that struggled to do anything that was part of football besides defend them. But hey, you take a win, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, you take the wins that are handed to you.
Yeah. So they're now 5-7 on the season. Heading into Cincinnati they're at Cincinnati, right? Yeah, at Cincinnati. It'll be interesting. They're right now Cincinnati is winning, so it's going to be a tough game. But yeah, the offense has to be a lot better, and if they want to kind of be successful going forward. But other than that, nothing much you can take from this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I really have nothing much to say, man. It's like there's like
no, I mean,
it was just like it was a game that like
happened.
Yeah, like yeah, it just happened. It was like okay, they Houston couldn't do it. Like that wasn't a competitive offense on that field. Like that was that was one of the worst offenses I've seen in a while. We've seen some bad offenses. The quarterback was terrible. They couldn't block really well either, at least in pass protection. If Chase Winovich can beat you and kind of be successful, you're struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Any final thoughts you got? Like, I know this is a shorter post game though, but
yeah. Well, I mean, what is there to like we've said? Like, there's not anything to really take away from it.
yeah.
The Browns offense didn't play well. The Browns defense played well, but we don't know how much of that is actually sustainable because teams that they're playing the rest of the season aren't the Texans. They won. They won a football game.
that is the true sense. They won the football game. Yeah, I got nothing else to say here.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really long game for some reason.
Yeah,
like
that's what happens when you turn it over 6 times in the game.
Yeah, I mean, there was games that were ending when there were 5 minutes to go in a blowout.
Yeah.
That didn't make any sense.
Yeah, especially when the Browns were just running the ball the last 8 minutes of the game.
Yeah, the Browns weren't trying from
No.
Once they got the to make it the touchdown to make it 24-8. I think they pretty much said, "Let's just pack this up and go home."
Yeah, it was a very.
It would have been nice to see the offense score a touchdown. I guess we can throw away that bet we had for offensive touchdowns.
Well, we did say touchdowns, so I guess Donovan Peoples-Jones would have counted. Or Denzel, or Tony Fields if you had the field.
Yeah,
yeah, it was
the fact that Cade York scored the most points today is probably not something you want to write home about.
No. This just seemed a game that, if you betted for this game, you're a crazy person. Actually spent money on it.
Yeah, I mean they got within a touchdown of the over.
Yeah,
but
for a minute there, it looked like no chance.
Yeah,
when it was 8-5, I think it was, or 7-5,
14-8 going into the fourth quarter.
14-8. Yeah, we almost probably had a scoregami or whatever.
Yeah, had Houston stayed at 5, it would have been almost anything. Probably would have been. There isn't very many 5 scores.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all we got, man. We're headed into Cincinnati next week, so big game there. Next 2 games are pretty much the season.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Ravens, we don't know what the extent of the injury is, but I mean, if they're running out there with Tyler Huntley, I can't imagine you're the Browns are going to be underdogs in that game.
Right. Yeah,
Until the Bengals actually beat the Browns, it's hard to see other outcomes, even with both teams playing the way they are.
Right.
I'm not saying that they won't beat the Browns next weekend, but like
they haven't beat them in 3 straight times, so
well, yeah. And none of those games have been particularly close.
No.
The last 3 games that they've actually played against them. Well, no. The Baker touchdown was a close game.
Right.
But
yes, that'll come back.
But I can't count week 17 last year or week 16 last year, whenever that was.
I don't remember what happened in that game.
No, it was kind of ugly.
Yeah,
they won, but it was ugly.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll be back sometime middle of the week here to kind of preview this matchup. Big time matchup.
I mean, if the Chiefs can come back, the Browns will have a chance to cut their difference to 1 between these 2 teams and to have a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty big deal.
It really is. Yeah. It's a few weeks ago I thought there was no chance of like a playoff run, and things have kind of opened up a little bit. This injury to Lamar Jackson is just gigantic.
Yeah. I mean, they won today, but last year when they lost Lamar, they didn't win any games that Huntley started.
Right. They played Denver, who's also seems like they don't
inept at scoring.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it should be interesting the next couple of weeks. See if they can kind of make a run here. But they got to be better than what they showed today. Yeah. That's all we can say.
The offense needs to go back to being what it was.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I do wonder. I wonder how much he was holding back, kind of in terms of play calling and all that stuff. And it'll be interesting to see, kind of going into next week, see how much difference this offense looks. Obviously, I would hope just playing wise they would play better.
Yeah,
especially Watson. But I'm just wondering, like, the play calling to see if that kind of changes too. But yeah, that's it. 27-14. The Browns are now 5-7 on the season. Heading into Cincinnati next week, and we'll be back probably Thursday because Wednesday's my birthday. But so we'll talk to you next week, and with that, go Browns, and we'll see.
Let's play some real football next week.
Yes, real football.